go ahead and have a seat, please. Thank you. Thank you. Has it been an awesome weekend? Oh, come on, you can do better than that. Has it been an awesome weekend? Can we give God the praise? Can we give God the glory for what he has been doing on this awesome weekend? It has been such an awesome weekend, and I can't even begin to explain to you how blessed I've been. From last night, Pastor Stephen Thompson telling us, preparing us for the return of the Lost Boys. And then this morning, Pastor Dingle giving us a perspective from the Father. And then Pastor Morgan giving us a perspective from the older brother. So I've been tasked with wrapping this all up tonight and sealing it up so that we can roll out of here with a concrete word. We can leave here just sealed and tightened and equipped and ready to receive the prodigals. We should leave here tonight ready. Okay, this has been a weekend of preparation. All right, so we should leave here prepared. We should leave here equipped. And we should leave here ready to receive the prodigal. There should be no doubt in our minds after this weekend to receive the prodigals. And I declare some are coming tomorrow morning. There's some coming tomorrow morning. God doesn't make any mistakes with timing. There's no coincidence with him. Nothing catches him off guard. So there should be no shock when tomorrow when you see some faces that you haven't seen in a long time. The prodigals are already on their way. That's why we had to get prepared for them, because they're already on their way. Somebody made up in their mind tonight, you know what, I'm getting up and going to church tomorrow. I haven't been there in quite some time, but I'm feeling some type of pull, and something is telling me that tomorrow is my day. And what a better day for them to return than Pentecost. Oh my goodness. What a better day for a prodigal to return than Pentecost. So get ready. Get ready. If I can do my TD Jakes real quick, get ready. Because the prodigals are already on their way. So I'm not going to labor too long with the scripture, although I do want to point our attention to the beginning of the story. So we've been talking about, we start around verse 14. In fact, that was where we started this evening, about the time where his money ran out. But I want to start at the beginning of the story. I want to talk about how he even got to that point. Amen. How we get to the point where we're discussing how to prepare, and from the father's perspective, from the other brother's perspective. But I want to focus on the prodigal for a moment. The lost son, who wasn't always lost. That's an interesting part, is he wasn't always lost. We tend to talk about him as if, he was just always lost. But there was a point where the story began and he wasn't always lost. So I want to read starting at verse 11, Luke 15. It says, a man had 2 sons. The younger son told his father, I want my share of your estate now before you die. That's deep. That's deep. The young man didn't even want to wait. He didn't want to give his father a chance to live or die. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement. Like, listen, I want what's due to me, but I ain't got time to wait for you to die for it. So just go ahead and give it to me now so I can go do what I need to do, because I ain't got time to wait for you to die. So that's deep. Younger son told his father, I want my share of your estate before you die. Now, I want you to repeat this next sentence, because I'm going to come back to this in a second. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. I'm going to come back to that. I want y'all to hold that for a second. His father agreed to divide his wealth between his 2 sons. A few days later, his younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land. And there he wasted all his money in wild living. And then we pick up on verse 14. So I want to talk to you for a few minutes tonight. My title, if you're going to write that down, is When Relationship Requires Reconciliation. When relationship requires reconciliation. So we've been all over this passage all weekend long, and even those that haven't been to this retreat, or even somebody that may not have been to church in a while, or at some point in time, somebody, pretty much everybody, has heard the story of the prodigal son. Amen. It's one of the most famous passages to come out of the Bible. Everybody, knows about the story, or at least a little bit of the story of the prodigal son. And we find here that it's one of three stories or parables that Jesus told in this chapter. And that was something that was touched on earlier today, is that he was talking about lost things, the entire chapter of Luke 15. He started off talking about lost sheep, then he went on talking about a lost coin, and then he gets to the lost son. And he was using these stories to illustrate God's love and compassion for the lost. These stories speak to how much weight God puts on relationship over religion. Amen. You see, this is about relationship. Amen. And I want to make it personal tonight. I want you to begin to make it personal. All right? I want you to take it from a person. We've been talking about preparing for the prodigals, and in some of our minds we're thinking about, someone that's returning that may not have been from our own church, but they're returning to a church, and our church may just happen to be the place that they return. Yeah. But what happens when it's personal? Mm-hmm. What happens, senior pastors, when someone that you've groomed, someone that you poured into, one day is up and leaves? Mm-hmm. What happens when this becomes a personal thing for you? And you're waiting for the return of someone that you had already invested in, someone that you had already poured into, someone that you had a relationship with. What happens at that point? You see, it might be easier to receive somebody that comes in and says, Pastor, I haven't been to church in a while. You're like, all right, great. Come on in. It's great to have you. But what happens when that one that you spent time with, that one that you called son? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What happens when that one that you called son comes to you one day and says, you know what? I'm just not getting what I thought I was going to get out of here. I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. What happens then when it becomes personal to you? So Jesus wanted to illustrate how important relationship is over religion. He did this because when you begin the chapter in Luke 15, the first couple of sentences, the first couple of verses in Luke 15 says that tax collectors, get this, and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. Wow. Notorious sinners. Good, right? So I guess there must be levels to it, huh? So I guess you could be a sinner. You could be a pretty bad sinner. You could be a hard sinner. But then you reach that level of notorious sinner. You see, because when you're a notorious sinner, they talking about you in some places. There might be some wanted posters hanging up somewhere, you somewhere. When you get to that notorious status, you know what I mean? You kind of infamous at that point. You know what I mean? Oh, that's that one. They were talking about that one right there. You start making the FBI most wanted list. You know what I'm saying? Notorious sinners. So it wasn't just average sinners that was coming. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, oh yeah, that one there, he stole or something. No, they said notorious sinners. Tax collectors back then was like the mob. You know what I mean? Tax collectors, because they was always cheating things. And when you owe tax, they didn't just come and knock on the door. Hello, you owe. They was kicking the door in. They would drag you out the house, probably put a beat down on you. So he was hanging out with some serious cats. And it says the Pharisees were angry. They were upset because he would take time out. The scripture says to even eat with them. Amen. To even eat with them? Can you imagine? Can you imagine some notorious sinner walking up in your church right now? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine some mob boss rolling up? And see, we in South Philly, God's house, so, you know what I mean? We in Mafia territory, so, you know, Mafia could roll right up tomorrow and be like, hey, praise the Lord. That's the boy that's been on the news. That's the one that they was just talking about last night. Pastor, he's here. But we got to be ready to receive that. And Jesus didn't shy away from it. He didn't shy away from it at all. You know, when we get overly religious, we get this mindset. And listen, so I understand that you do have to watch the company you keep. I get that, all right? Because you are guilty by association and things like that. But if you're living a life like Jesus, and your light is so shining that men can see your good works and praise your Father in heaven, then why can't you be around the notorious? Because see, what should be happening, if you're living a life conducive of Christ, what should be happening is your light needs to outshine them. You need to influence them. Because see, our parents used to tell us, you know, you got to watch the company you keep, because those that are bad, they'll begin to influence you. They'll sow bad seeds. Next thing you know, you're acting bad. But for those of us who have been in church long enough, for those of us who receive word long enough, for those of us who have been in his presence long enough, it needs to be the other way around. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter how many are in the group. Amen. Because one can change them all. Amen. And see, Jesus knew that, so that's why he walked the way he did. He didn't shy away from hanging with the notorious, because he understood that his relationship with them was bigger than the religion part. Because see, the Pharisees are like, oh no, we can't consort with such people, but if we don't consort with them, how do we save them? That's right. Come on. How can we save them if we're not talking to them? How can we save them if we're not hanging out with them? How do we save them? Oh, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not supposed to be around people like you. My mama told me. No, how does that work? But that's the problem. Because we get so overly deep. Amen. Say it. We can't be so spiritually deep that we become no earthly good. That can't be us. So we've got to put relationship above religion. Amen. So Jesus goes on and tells this story. After he told the story about the sheep, and after he told the story about the coin, because they was so upset with him about hanging out with this group. So he comes and he tells this story. He tells a story about a father and his two boys. And here's what I got from this story. I just want to give you three things. And I'm going to go ahead and get out the way. So the first thing, and this is what this is, like I said before, this is when it comes from a personal place. All right? You're a senior pastor, you're a deacon, you're a bishop, even when you're a lay person or just a partner in a ministry. And you may have had a relationship with somebody. This is my brother. This is, you know what I mean? This is my boy right here. And then one day he just decides to up and leave. So here's what we have to do in order to prepare for the return. See, we've got to begin to prepare for the return at the exit point. Amen. At the point of them leaving, we should already be preparing for their return. Yeah. Because see, oftentimes when somebody steps off, when somebody leaves you, you cut them off right there. Oh, you gonna leave like that? Fine. Here, this boy gonna come to me and tell me, now come on, fathers in the room, fathers, your son come to you and say, listen, I need what you got for me before you die. Come on. Are you serious? Now, first of all, this must not have been a black father. Okay? Because I know the first thing out of his mouth would have been, who you think you're talking to, boy? But we don't read that, right? We don't read that. So it could have been a black father, because, you know, the first thing out of his mouth would have been, boy, who you think you're talking to? Don't you know who I am? Well, I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. So you might be dying before I die. You come and talk about give me what you owe me before you die. Have you lost your ever-loving mind? That would have been the question. And would have cut him off. But then he would have been prepared for the return. As we begin to progress through the story, imagine if the father had become bitter at that moment, how could he have received it when he came back? But many of us are like that. The minute somebody walks, and here's the thing, some of them don't even have to leave. All they got to do is say something to you don't like. Wow. Well, I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that at all. But then you can't receive it. So the first thing you got to do is warrant the release. Warrant means to allow. You got to let him go. And this may be hard. Especially if you've invested some time in him. Yes. You have a relationship. This is personal. Yes. This is personal. This is my son. This is my brother. This is somebody that we hung out with. We busted grub with. We ran ball with. I shot pool with him. We bowled together. And now he's stepping off. But you gotta allow that to happen. Because holding on could do more damage than good. Now, we know that as parents. We know that as parents. Now I'm definitely coming from a personal place because this happened with me and my son. Maybe not necessarily he left the house, you know what I mean, but we had a falling out. He stepped over the line. Okay? He came out his mouth raw. Yes. And I had to check him. And then there was some time that went by. But I had to allow him to go and think that he was bigger than, because come on, we've all been that age. We were just talking that earlier, right? We were just talking about, what'd you say, smarter than smart. Smarter than smart. Deacon and brother here, we were talking earlier in the other room about some of the stupid things that we did as young people. And I told them, I said, here I am, 13 years old. I'm on the subway in Spring Garden Street on the platform. We running back and forth across the tracks. Because we thought it was cool. Timing the trains. I dare you to run across the track. Man, you ain't said nothing. That's right. Now here's the thing. Because Deacon was like, wait a minute, you got that third rail. You can clear the tracks. But then just on the other side of those two tracks is this rail that runs the entire line of the subway that provides the power for the train. My brother said, all you had to do was trip and fall. He said, there'd be some smoke. Some smoke and a piece of clothing. That's all that would be left. That's all that would be left. Some smoke and a piece of clothing. But we were smart and smart. Nothing. Well, I tell my young people all the time, I said, I love the idea that you're fearless. Independence Blue Cross, the healthcare company out of Philadelphia, their slogan is live fearless. And I love it, and I tell young people all the time because I did a study on the development of an adolescent brain. And it said that in the early stages, the frontal lobe of the brain hasn't fully developed. But the part that's in the frontal lobe is the fear factor. It's also the reasoning factor. So young people, they grow up fearless because they haven't learned it yet. And see, fear is a learned thing. I'm telling my grandson now, he's 8 years old, and we're in the house and he wants to go to the bathroom. Grandy, I'm going to the bathroom. Okay, sure. He turns on every light in the house just to go to the bathroom because he's scared of the dark. And I keep trying to tell him there's nothing for you to be afraid of when you're in Grandy's house. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about the dark. You don't have to worry about this. There's nothing in here that you need to be afraid of it. And I get on parents all the time that, don't do that because of no. They learn fear. I had a young kid, we took him to the beach one time. He wouldn't set foot in the water because his friends told him the shark was in the water. So he wouldn't step foot in it. And I was like, wow. They've already instilled that fear in him that he won't go get in the ocean because his friends said there's sharks in the ocean. So I love the fearlessness of young people. However, at that age, that adolescent age, that fearlessness comes also with stupidity. Amen. Because the fact that the fear factor is missing, is what also is missing is reasoning. Yes. So there's certain things that we would go to do as adults, and it's not necessarily fear. You know what I mean? Like I could climb to the top of this hotel or whatever, decide to jump off, but my mind would go, no, because you're probably going to hurt yourself or die. But a young person would do it because they haven't learned that part yet. Yeah. You know what I mean? That part hasn't clicked yet, so I'm going to jump off of here and I'll make it. Yeah. It's why they do some of the dumb things they're doing now that are killing themselves because that part hasn't clicked yet.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
So you know how we get big enough britches. And since all of us in here have already said that we once were lost, we all know what I'm talking about. We've all been there. We've all stepped off from God. We've had conversations with God like that. Listen here, God. Now, what you can't tell him is, give me what you owe me before you die, because you already died. But we have them conversations like, listen here, this ain't really working out for me, God. So I'm stepping off. I've been there. I've been there. Amen. Didn't necessarily find what I was looking for in church, in Christianity. So I start studying Eastern philosophies and all other kind of things. But I'm going to show you something here, because when something has been invested, it's hard to tear away from it. That's why the son didn't go so far. That's why he ended up back, because there were some things that had been invested in him. So we're going to get to that. So you got to warrant the release. It may hurt, but you got to let them go. Allow them the opportunity to experience what they need to experience. Warrant the release. The second piece is watch for the return.
Amen. Amen.
Like I said, when something is invested, we make it as a personal thing. This is somebody that you've invested your time in, invested your love in. You know what I mean? Invested so much in. And those of us that are in business or in investing, we know there's a term called an ROI, a return on investment. So what that means is, and oftentimes when you're investing, they can give you an outlook of what the ROI will be. So you will invest based on the risk, but based on also the promise of the ROI. So it's like, okay, but if I invest this much, my ROI will be this much. So it's the same in the spiritual realm. It's the same here in relationship. It's like, well, if I invest this much, then I'm going to expect an ROI of this much. And this is the position the Father was in. You see, I firmly believe, because of the way the scripture maps it out, I firmly believe that even after the son left, and we don't know like the time frame that it was, but I firmly believe that father spent every day watching that. Amen. I firmly believe that. Because the scripture says, while the son was far off, it says while he was far off, the father saw him and took off. Now there's no way in the world the father wasn't looking for an ROI and could have seen him afar off. It's no way the father was caught up in his daily business. It's no way the father had forgotten his son. It's no way in the world if he could have seen him afar off. He was expecting an ROI. He was expecting a return on his investment.
Preach, boy, preach.
So I want to say to you men that after you've warranted the release, never stop praying.
Amen. Amen.
Never stop looking.
Amen.
And never stop watching.
Hallelujah.
Don't ever become so comfortable. Well, they left. That's on them. Oh well. I guess if they come back, they come back. But that's on them. And then they catch you off guard when they come, hey! No. It should be like, yeah, I was expecting you today.
Amen.
Why? Because I've been praying for you day and night since you left.
Yes.
See, that's when relationships, the religion piece is like, oh, they left, okay, so whatever. That's the religion piece. Religion cuts it off right there. But when relationship is in it, when relationship is involved and it's personal, no. Okay, God, he left. And I also believe that the Father covered him in prayer.
Amen. Yes. Amen.
You see, we know from the scripture that the son had some spiritual backing.
Right.
We know that from what he said to his father when he came back. I've sinned against heaven. He said that first. I've sinned against heaven and you. So there had to be some Bible study in that home. There had to be some teaching in that home. That man was truly the priest of his household. That father was truly the priest of his home. He had invested some things in his son, and now he's getting an ROI. That return on investment was spiritual just as much as it was physical. Train a child up in the way they should go. When they grow old, they will not depart from it. I told you there was a point where after being in church for years, Pastor Morgan was talking about who's been in church 40 plus years. I'm 42 years old. And my aunt started taking me to church when I was 6 months old. Amen. So I've been in church for 42 years. I've been in church my entire life. I spent the first 11 years of my life in a Christian academy. So yes, so when it's put in you, so here I am studying I'm studying Buddhism and Taoism and all that, but yet because of what had been invested in me, I was trying to bring Jesus in. Yeah. All right, so I have this book. I think I still have it in my collection. It's called the Jesus Sutras. And it was talking about a combination of religions, these Taoists that were from China, and how they had found Jesus in the midst of it, and they started bringing it together. Because I was still trying to hold on just a little bit to Jesus. I was trying to keep some sort of connection to him because of what had already been put in me. So I couldn't help myself. As much as I tried to run away from it, as much as I tried to get away from it, I couldn't help myself because I had already been rooted here. I had already been rooted in the church. I had already been planted in the church. So I couldn't go but so far. The same thing happened with his son. He couldn't go but so far because he had already been planted in the church. I can imagine him, even when he was in the pigsty, he's sitting there like, God, but my father taught me better than this. The scripture says he came to his senses. Some translations say he came to himself. Yeah, I like that one too. He came to himself. I like that one. And he said, Dad, I've sinned against heaven and you. Yeah. So you gotta wait for the return. You've invested, believe that it's coming back. Amen. Yeah. Believe that. Because the word says it. Yeah. There's no other reason to believe it but that the word says it. Yeah. Like even when it looks grim, like I said, we don't know how long this was. It just, what does it say? After a while? Yeah. Right. Is that what it says? After a while. It just says about the time his money ran out. So we don't know, number one, we don't know how much he was given. Right. Now, I know you can blow through some money. Yes. Shaquille O'Neal said that when he got his first paycheck in the NBA, it was something like $2 or $3 million, something like that. And I think he spent it in 24 hours. So I realized, because listen, you can always find something to buy. Amen. Listen, you can always find something to buy. I was reading the story the other day, comedian Tracy Morgan crashed his Bugatti, cost him $4 billion. And he had just drove it off the lot and somebody hit him. $4 million down the tube. So yeah, you can find ways to spend up some money. So really, it could have been the next day. You know what I mean? It could have been 24 hours later. Like it really could have been, but we don't know. But it could have taken years. It could have taken years. Is anybody here ready to wait years for the prodigal? Is anybody here ready to wait years for the prodigal? To wait years for your return on investment? Because that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. I know we live in a microwave society. I know that. I'm hungry. Put this in the microwave. 5 minutes, it's ready. I know that. But some things just don't work like that. Some returns don't come as fast. But are you ready to wait for the return? Are you ready to put in the time that's necessary to wait for the return? So watch for the return. Warrant the release. Watch for the return. The last piece is, once they've returned, now you got to work on the reconciliation. With the quickness. With the quickness. Verse 22 says that after the son showed up and he begins his practiced speech. See, he had been practicing this speech the entire walk home. You know what I mean? Anybody ever been there? You know you're in trouble? So on the way home, you like, all right, see, Mom, what had happened was, see, I was hanging with Sherman, and Sherman had said, let's go get something to eat. So then I went, we went to go get something to eat. He got a Big Mac, I had a chicken sandwich, and then the chicken was bad, so then we went, and I had to put some ketchup on it. So then we was out back, and I was putting ketchup, and then, and then Tony showed up. So then we went with Tony, and, so, you practice that as you're walking home. Every step like, all right, so Sherman, chicken, Tony. You know what I mean? You work it out. So this is what he was doing the entire walk home, because he was expecting a different response.
That's right.
He was expecting an angry father. He was expecting, you know what I mean? He was expecting a conflict. He wasn't expecting restoration. He wasn't expecting love. He was expecting religion, not relationship. He was expecting his father to say, how dare you leave my house after all that I instilled in you, after all that I've given you, how dare you leave, and then you're going to show back up? Some of y'all can't wait for the prodigal to return so you can give him the I told you so speech. Ooh. Yeah, y'all excited. I'm excited about the prodigal because I can't wait to tell him all the things he did wrong. And some of y'all can't wait for the story. So that's when we become cynical. Some of you can't wait for the story. Oh, come on, we've done this. Come on, we've done this with friends and family. Oh yeah, here he come. Can't wait to hear what he got to say. We've done this kind of stuff. Yeah, come on, yeah. So what's the story today? So this is what he was expecting. Because he had seen it in the world the whole time. So he's coming, okay, Father, I sinned against you. No. Father, Father, I've sinned against heaven and you. Please make me one of your servants. Okay, like he's working on that. So, Father, who's been watching, waiting, praying, sees his son afar off, runs up to him. Son begins his speech, Father, I've sinned against heaven and you, and it's like, no. Then the next word out of his father's mouth is, quick! Quick! He tells his servants, run and go get this and get that and put this on him and lay this on him and kill that. Let's have a feast, quick! So this reconciliation, don't make them wait for it. Don't make them wait for it. Just because you need some fun out of it, because you need some satisfaction out of it. They need it with the quickness. They need to hear you say, quick. He came back. He's here. He who was lost is now found. Quick. We need to celebrate. My God. With the quickness. Because reconciliation brings restoration.
Amen.
And now you're ready to borrow from Pastor Dingle, who talked about the road. He said, quick, go get the finest robe, the best robe. Pastor Dingle said that the robe represented broken pieces, woven together. The robe represented wholeness. He that had been broken, he that had been torn up, is now woven back together. There's a company that was out some years ago called Coogee. They're still out. They still make sweaters? They still make them sweaters, okay. And what I found out about Coogee sweaters is Coogee sweaters are made from hundreds of different strands from all over the world, woven into one sweater. Most Coogee sweaters are very colorful. Like when you see a Coogee sweater, it might even look like this floor. Like a Coogee sweater would look like this carpet. They're all different colors, but it's different strands. They're woven in different directions. They're woven at different angles, but they're woven together to make a pretty expensive sweater. So the robe represented he that had been broken. but have been woven back together
My God.
into something of value.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah, thank you, Lord.
We've got to let them know that there's something of value,
Yeah.
that there's someone of value. Because they're going to come in broken. They're going to come in torn up. They're going to come in shredded.
Yeah.
Jesus told Peter, he said, the enemy seeks to sift you as wheat, to break you down to the finest of particles. He said, but I've prayed that your faith won't fail.
Yes. Come on.
And when you've been restored, and maybe you've been restored, and now that you've been restored, what you got to do? Strengthen the brothers. Strengthen them. Help weave them back together. Turn them into a Coochie sweater. Show them that they're worth something. Show them that they're of value. Take all those broken pieces and mend them back together and let them know there's something of value. The robe represented oneness. Then he said, go get a ring and put it on his finger. The ring represents covenant. The ring represents oneness with the Father or royalty. Check this out. In that time, the ring that was put on the son's finger most likely would have had the family crest on it. So to check this, so what that meant was he could have gone to any vendor. He could have gone to any market, picked out whatever he wanted, and they said it's going to cost such and such. Here's the ring. And that ring was like a credit card. It was like a black card, a platinum card. No limit on it. No limit. So he went to be able to show the ring, and they were like, oh, you're in that house. Okay, no problem. Take it. It's already charged off. You got it. You got it. You got it. So the father had to let him know, although you had left, you're still my son. Although you had left, you're still royalty. You may have plundered your life. You may have spent up all your money, but guess what? I still got some more for you. You may have sold your life away, and you may have been in a pig pen. The father didn't know where he had been, but he had literally gone from the ghetto back to the mansion. He had literally gone from rags to riches in an instant with the quickness, because his father didn't make him wait for it. His father didn't spend any time giving him an I told you so speech. He said, quick, give him something of value. So he gave him the robe, he gave him the ring, and then they had a repast.
My God.
They had a repast. What are you talking about? He said, take the fattened calf, kill it, let's eat, let's have a feast. Well, wait, a repast, but that's what we have after a funeral, right? Like, so how was it a repast? Well, he said, let's feast because my son was dead. We need to feast because my son was dead. And we already had that funeral. My son was dead, but now he's alive. So let's have a repast. Because we've already had a funeral. So let's have a repast. Because reconciliation brings restoration. So we've got to show them that they're of some value. We've got to show them that they matter. We have to show them that they matter. And then celebrate them. Celebrate them. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And reconciliation. So the repast, represented resurrection. Because he who was dead was alive again. You see, that had to be the mindset of the father. Because how many times have we heard in relationship? When's the last time you talked to your dad, man? Oh, he's dead to me. When's the last time you talked to your son? Oh, he's dead to me. I can't imagine saying that about my family. I just buried a good friend of mine last Saturday. Young lady that I went to high school with. 41 years old, died of a stroke. And I still feel the pain of her loss. I couldn't imagine walking around talking about, oh, she's dead to me. Like I can't imagine the strength that it takes to say that someone is dead to you. That you literally would forget that they even existed. But the father didn't have that mindset. Because had it been that case, then this whole thing would have went differently, like I said. Because when the son come running down the road, he wouldn't have greeted him. Maybe he sends a servant to greet him. So get this, pastors. So get this, pastors. When the prodigal returns, who greets him? Oh! You gonna send the usher? Oh yeah, that's that one that left. AD, go talk to him. Tell him I'm unavailable right now. Oh. Who's greeting them when they come back? Because, he's dead to me. Nah, he left. That was on him. He doesn't get my time anymore. Imagine if God treated us like that. At the very inkling of a sin, a blemish on our lives. And Jesus says, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from you. I ain't got time for you. Just imagine that. But the Father was ready so they could have a repast because it was already a death, but it had been a resurrection as well. Lastly, reconciliation will cause an unforgettable experience. The older brother in the field. Now, he obviously wasn't watching for his brother. He obviously wasn't waiting for him. He was too preoccupied with work. And he thought that made him better than his brother. And some of us are going to be like that, or try to be. When the prodigal returns, now you're too busy at your post. You ain't done your post all year long. Now all of a sudden that one that walked out, oh no, I got to work the sound. They call me, yo bro, you too busy on the soundboard to even hear him. Now all of a sudden you want to carry Bishop's, hey Bishop, can I carry this for you? Now all of a sudden you want to help Bishop out. Now all of a sudden you want to vacuum. You want to sweep a single piece of dust or dirt the entire time you've been part of the ministry. Now the prodigal returns, and you think that your busyness is going to excuse the fact that you don't want to reconcile. So I knew the brother wasn't watching for him. But here's the part that gets me. And Pastor Morgan pointed it out earlier today when he said when the son comes to the father and he's like, you know, I've been here, this, that, and the third, but this son of yours who left and squandered his money on prostitutes, how does he know where his brother was?
Okay.
You want to know how he knew? Because he would keep tabs on him. He was trolling his Facebook page. So y'all looking at me like y'all don't do this stuff. Y'all looking at me like the one that left the church, who you still friends with on Facebook, you don't visit the page every now and then to see what trouble they into. Oh, I see his car just got repossessed. That's because he left the church. Everything is because they left the church, right? Oh, I see he just lost his job. That's because he left the church. Oh, I see they in financial trouble. That's because they left the church. So I submit to you, the brother was keeping tabs. Because this wasn't something he came up with. He squandered it on prostitutes. How do you know? Of all things. He didn't squander it on gambling. He didn't squander it on liquor. No, he squandered it on prostitutes. So he was real specific with it. He didn't say, you know, this son of yours who just squandered your money. No, he squandered it on prostitutes. Oh, you know that? Were you with him? Oh! Were you with him at one point? Maybe you left when he did, you just came back. Because let me point you to the scripture I told you to put a note on earlier. Because as the son was losing his mind with his father, I've been here all this time slaving with you, and you've never given me so much as a goat. What he was literally saying is, I've been here all this time, Father, and you've given me nothing. What did we read in the verse? It says that when the younger son came to him and said, give me what you owe me before I die, it says the father decided to split the money between the sons. Which means that the son, the oldest, got broke off probably even more than the younger because he was due double, because he was the oldest, because according to the law, the father couldn't have just given some to the younger son without breaking the older son off. So you got yours. And you've been here. You sitting up under this man. You still get his love every single day.
Yeah.
Now the prodigal returns and you mad because he left you for a minute to do the work that you needed to do, to go love upon him.
Yeah.
Then you're going to come and lie through your teeth. I've been here all this time and you ain't gave me nothing.
What? That's right. Wow. Preach, Pastor.
See what ungratefulness will do? It'll give you selective amnesia. All of a sudden you select to forget all that God has done for you. And you find yourself saying, really, God? So they come back and they get blessed, but I've been here working. I'm working the soundboard. I'm carrying Bishop's things to his room. I've been doing this. I'm taking his laundry. I'm doing this, that, and the third. I'm the armor bearer. I'm the adjutant. I'm this, that, and the third. And you ain't never done nothing for me?
My God.
Oh, but you forget. Oh, but you forget.
That's right. How quick?
When you was unemployed last year, out of work, trying to find a way, but yet you never missed a meal.
Never.
But yet your bills continue to get paid.
Yeah.
Even got to go on some trips.
Amen.
Even got to enjoy some luxuries.
Yeah.
Oh, but now that somebody else got blessed, now all of a sudden God ain't never done nothing for you.
My God.
So the father had to remind him, son, you've been here. And everything that I have is yours.
Yes.
See, I submit to you, the older brother already had a ring on his finger.
Okay. All right.
He already had the family crest.
Yes.
Had probably already purchased some things with the family crest. So because he didn't leave, here's the part that gets me. So because the older son didn't leave, not only did he get double the portion, but he still had everything else too.
Yes.
So he had his cake
Increase.
And
could eat it. So he made out better
Yes.
than the younger brother.
Yes.
He was sitting in a better position than the younger brother
yes.
because he didn't go. I mean, can you imagine getting broke off and don't have to spend it?
My God.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine hitting the lottery, but you already rich?
Oh. Jesus.
All right.
Already rich.
You already got it. Because here's the thing. The father didn't give him his and then say, follow your brother. He's leaving, so you got to leave too. Because, that could have happened. He was the older, so, some of us can't wait till I get old enough so he can, oh boy, you hit 18, time for you to get on up out of here, boy. Time for you to find yourself a job, get you a home, get you a job, some boy, time for you to go. Some of us can't wait to put him out. So he's like, listen, your brother's leaving. He asked for his, so I'm going to give him his, but I'm going to give you yours. And it probably was a choice. You know what I mean? Like, I know the Bible doesn't say all this, but just go with me for a minute. I can imagine the father said to him, because I remember having this conversation with my son. I'll never forget, one of my kids decided they didn't want to be in my wedding when I got married. So one of my children decided they didn't want to be, so then I looked at the other two and I said, are y'all rolling with that one? No, Dad, we with you. Okay, cool. So I can imagine the father said the same thing. Your brother's leaving, you going? Because I'm giving him his. I'm about to give you yours, which means you're free to leave. So are you going? No, Dad, I'm staying here. Okay, I'm with you. I ain't going nowhere. Okay, fine. But here's your money. But you realize you don't have to spend that because you still got my ring on. And you do realize that everything that I have here is yours. Which meant the fattened calf was his, right? Which meant that had he decided to have a feast, hey Dad, I need that fattened calf, it's yours, son. So don't get mad that God hasn't given you what you didn't ask for. Well, God, you never gave me, but you didn't ask for that. You didn't ask me for it. So don't get mad that you didn't get what you never asked for. And don't get mad when somebody else gets what you always wanted, but you never asked for. Like, that just don't make no sense. always wanted that car. You never asked for it. But he asked for it, so I gave it to him. So don't get mad. All right? So don't miss it like the older brother did. If you decided to stay, and what Pastor Morgan said earlier, he admitted to us that something went down with him, we had the option to leave. All of us could have been like, really? And stepped off. But not a one left that we know of. I don't remember anybody leaving. But even if somebody hadn't left, for those of us who decided to stay and continue to be up under this man, continue to receive his love, his blessings, and here's the thing. Let me talk to the older brothers in the room. Let me talk to the ones who are under some leadership. I've taught our partners the trickle-down theory. Okay, see, when Reagan was in office, he created the trickle-down theory, Reaganomics, okay? Because he mistakenly thought that if you piled all the money at the top, where the rich were, that it was supposed to fall down to the lower class. But what he didn't realize is the rich stay rich because they don't give away no money. Some don't. Okay, some will, but that's what happens. Okay, he didn't realize that rich ain't giving up no money. We're not letting nothing trickle down. Okay, but God economics says that what falls on the head, it's got to trickle down to those under it. It says like the oil that was poured on Aaron's head. It ran down his beard. It ran down the edges of his robe. That's how the blessings are coming down for those that are under. The oldest brother was under the trickle-down theory. Just as much the younger one will see, when the younger stepped off, he stepped out from under the trickle-down. Okay, but the brother stayed under it, which meant that the brother was saturated in the blessings, even when the younger came back. And if the brother had missed it, all he had to do was accept the younger brother, put him back under him, and the younger brother would have got the same trickle down. Come on, I need y'all to get this. I need y'all to understand that, okay, you decided to stick around, and you decided to accept the trickle down, but when those that come back, and you can't keep them from it. You can't block them from it, because actually what the son was getting ready to do was step out from under it himself. Because it says that he refused to go into the feast. He refused to celebrate, which meant that he was literally getting ready to excommunicate himself. He was literally getting ready to step out, because here's the thing. There are some that are going to walk away when the prodigals come. So the prodigals are going to create prodigals, because there are some that aren't going to want to accept the fact that you're celebrating prodigals, and they're going to step off. And they're going to step out from under the trickle down. But here's the thing, you still got to watch and wait for those that leave, even after the prodigals come back. The father was wise enough, because I said relationship requires reconciliation. Please understand, the reconciliation didn't end with the prodigal. The reconciliation continued with the older, because the father had to take a minute from celebrating the prodigal had just come back, celebrate the loss. He had to take a minute to step away from him and go reconcile with the older.
Amen.
So preparing for the lost boys is also preparing for the older brother. Because there's going to be a moment after you've celebrated the one who returned, that some that are there are going to feel some kind of way. And we can't be upset with them. We can't excommunicate them. We can't cut them off, because you can create a vicious cycle. Because the moment you cut them off, they're going to leave. Now you got another lost. Now when they come back, here's the crazy part. They come back, you celebrate them. The one who came back before, you celebrate how they upset. Listen, it happens that way. Why? Because we're sheep.
Yes, we are.
We're sheep. Okay? And we go astray. We go astray. But, oh, thank you, Holy Ghost. I'm glad I'm right here. I'm glad I'm right here. Because I told you in the beginning, this is the third story. The first one Jesus talked about was sheep.
Yeah.
And he says to the Pharisees, he said, what farmer who has 100 sheep,
All right.
and if one goes astray, he has to leave the 99. Now, the sheep, because they don't talk, because they don't necessarily have a mind of their own, the 99 not sitting around going, he just left us. Why he leaving us? Yo, bad. Yo, bad. Why bad? Did he bad? Why bad did he leave? Because of that goofy one? We here. 99 of us. All together. He won't leave for one. Like, he can't get another one? It's 99 of us, right? Like, another one will show up at some point in time, it'll be 100 again. So why would he leave back for one? It's 99 of us here. Back. Unfortunately, the 99 are over here talking. You go off to get the one. 99 is like, here he go again. After that one. And what if that one is the same one? The same one. Over and over and over.
Yeah.
Pastor, don't got nobody like that? No member of your church that's here, then they go off for 3 months, then they back again, then they go off for 3 months, then they back again, then they go off for 6 months, and they back again, and every time they come, they end snotting, crying right to the altar. Oh, God! Heavenly Father, bow right down. And it's easy to get tired of that.
Yes.
It is. Listen, we're humans. Come on. Come on. Can I keep it 100 for a minute? Like it's easy to get tired of that. To see the same face at the altar every other Sunday. Like you ain't got it yet. But Jesus sees us the same way. Some of us keep coming to Jesus with the same stuff. And he's just as faithful the 100th time as he was the first time. Thanks be to God. Preparation for the return of the lost boys means prioritizing relationship over religion. Reconciliation of a relationship sometimes will require you to go out where others won't. That was when I was talking about the sheep. The shepherd having to leave the 99. The scripture says in the wilderness. So they're not on a mountaintop. They're not at Shangri-La. They're not in paradise. When the one strays off, that one strayed off in the wilderness. So now, easy pray. So now you got to leave what you've been doing to go out and go get this one, where others would say, you know that's a definition of a hero.
Amen.
They say, I love when you see the Marines commercials. Marines they say Marines go, they run in the direction of the screaming, when everybody else is running away from it. That's a hero. A hero goes where nobody else wants to go. Oh, this one, all right, I gotta go get him. And everybody else is like, why would you leave? Like you got 99 good ones over here. Why would you leave, go into the wilderness to go get that one? Because I got to. Because the relationship is that important. And when you value the relationship, reconciliation will sometimes require you to uproot your life in your comfort zone just to save it. In Luke 15:8, after Jesus talks about the parable of the sheep, he talks about a lost coin. And he says, what woman who has 10 coins and loses one wouldn't tear her house up? That's what he said. He said, go get a light, start flipping over furniture. So you will uproot your entire life to find that one when you value it. You will change the status quo. You will change business as usual at your ministry or your church when it comes time to search for the one.
Amen.
Maybe there's a shift in the service. I'm feeling we need to pray for that one that we just lost. What do you mean? We just had prayer. No. Hold on a second. We need to pray for that one. Our Pastor Morgan said that sometimes. He said in your prayer time, he'll say, look around the room and see the ones you don't see. and pray for those that you don't see. Now that's breaking up the status quo, because how often do we pray about the ones we're not thinking about? You know what I mean? I'm going to pray for Bishop Christmas on my mind, I just saw him. I'm going to pray for Overseer on my mind, I just saw him. But why would I pray for somebody I ain't seen in 3 weeks? Why would, that's not the norm. That's not a part of my normal prayer regiment. I'm praying for my pastors I just saw him Sunday. I'm praying for these men who just together. Why would I pray for the one that I ain't seen? They ain't coming. So why would I pray for them? But when you value that relationship, and you understand that Christ would do the same for you, man, that's awesome. And Jesus would die for one. He would die for one. So if he would die for one, then why would we not put ourselves on the line for one? You see, we want to wait until it's 3 or 4. Okay, now I'll go. Now it's worth my time, because it's 3 or 4 of them. But it's one. And we got to go get that one. And at the end of each story, all through Luke 15, each one ends with a celebration.
Yes.
So preparing for the return of the lost boys means preparing for a celebration.
Amen.
We got to prepare to celebrate them. We spend so much time honoring those that are in the room,
That's right.
honoring the ones that are supposed to be the dignitaries, the ones that we think deserve the honor. But the Bible says that the ones that we think don't deserve it are the ones that should be getting it. We'll stop a whole service because Bishop just walked in. I'm not talking about this Bishop.
No, not this.
Not
because
that one.
He hasn't completely read the book. So he's not he don't follow the Bishop. Man, but no. I love this man. I love this man. But some churches stop because dignitaries walk over. And I mean stop. I mean a song being sung. Hallelujah. Whoa. Bishop Apostle Dr. Reverend Deacon Doctor, he just walked in.
Deacon Doctor.
I'm sorry. With 14 hats. Good grief. Good grief. Yes. We'll do that. But how about that same response? When a prodigal comes in. How about that same response? Hallelujah. Oh my God, my son who was lost is back. We got to celebrate it. We got to celebrate it quick. Somebody go get him a robe quick. Somebody go get him a ring quick. Let's plan a feast. Right after service is over, we going somewhere to eat. We got to celebrate because he's back. He's back. He's here. How about that? We need to prepare for a celebration. It says that after the shepherd went and got the one sheep, it says he comes back and he says he calls all his friends and says, hey, the one that I lost, I found. It says the woman who tore up her house looking for the coin, it says she calls her neighbors and her family. She says, hey, let's celebrate because the one I lost was found. And the father said the same thing. He said, come on, we need to celebrate because the one I lost has just been found. Let's prepare ourselves to celebrate the ones that we lost because they've just been found. Come on, man, let's praise him, let's praise him. Come on, let's praise him, let's praise him. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The ones we lost, they've just been found. I'm telling you, man of God, prepare yourself because they're coming tomorrow. They are coming with the quickness. They are coming suddenly.